Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, young titans. Welcome. Today is October 24th. We are almost nearing the end of 2020. What a year it has been. And what are we bringing to you today? Today, we are bringing to you a three people panel who are going to discuss how to overcome setbacks. See, while we are going through in our life, all of us have setbacks. There's no question that there will be setbacks when you're on your job. There will be setbacks when you become an entrepreneur. Whatever stage of life you are, there will be setbacks. How to overcome those setbacks is the key. And that is the discussion point for today. Now, I hope you have been hearing and watching us for past few weeks where we have been bringing you top-notch experts in their industry and adding value to you. Now, according to census on US jobs and career, only 21% employees are keen to change their job at their mid-age. Only 18% are satisfied with their career or jobs. Why? Why not try to tackle this from an early stage? So, what is YTP, Young Titans Platform? Young Titans Platform is where young professionals and entrepreneurs join after their college graduation or when they are in the workforce to propel their career, get inspired, and become a part of a thriving community. Listen, if you are not a part of it, you are missing out. What I would love for you to do right now, I would love for you to share this live recording with your family, friends, your peers, your coworkers, and others. Like our page, subscribe to our channel, send us live questions in the Facebook comments, and you can always email us at info@unextleadership.com. What exactly is YTP? YTP is that platform that fills the gap from what you know and what you need to know for you to succeed. In short, YTP fills the gap between you and the leadership as young professionals embarking in the workforce. See, there are schools, colleges, departments to start a career. On the other hand, the organizations have leadership training skills, technical training in almost every corporation and workforce. But what is there for the new graduates to excel, find their best career? Or once they start the career, where to go now? This is the YTP. You know why? Because there is nothing existing right now, today, to fill in this gap. See, I've seen so many people who get very confused when they start with their jobs. They're indecisive of their career path. That is where we are here to help you. In this platform, we have various speakers or panelists coming each week with a different background. Often they're high achievers and sometimes young generation achievers. We are bringing them to you because they will show you, teach you what to do at your stage where you are and how to excel in your profession or career. Now, let me start some introduction. I'm Raj Kapoor. I'm the founder and CEO of Options Ahead. For over 30 years, I've worked as a chief financial officer. I have been an entrepreneur all my life. I have had businesses on the side. Now I'm teaching wealth and mindset principles, including running online courses along with mentoring and coaching. I'm an executive and wealth mindset coach. I'm host on internet radio station ibgr.network. I speak about guidance to wealth. And I believe as young titans, that is something you really need to understand and know. I'm also an author, entrepreneur, have multiple businesses in different industries. My passion is to make a difference in other people's lives. Let me introduce to you some folks. And first of all is my great friend Sheikh, who is right here with me. Sheikh is actually the orchestrator and the person who thought of the Young Titans platform idea. He is the one who set this up. He is an engineer by background, and he is the founder of UNext Leadership for Training, emphasizing the value one needs to have. He liked to work with people and was slowly drawn to people who value people. That is where his leadership journey started. He wanted to learn how did they do that. And you know what? He has achieved marvelous things in his life. And that is why he is bringing this platform to you with all of us. His inspiration are few people that include some people in this community and are going to be here with us. Uh, Starting with his family. Those are his inspiration grandmother, his daughter, his sister, his wife, from whom he learned a lot about leadership basics. He likes to hang out with like minded people and he likes to share or teach what he knows. One reason behind that is he knows that teachers learn the most. Well, he's going to be the host along with few other co-hosts and panelists as we go along. Now, a few people who always join us, and today some of them would not be joining us because they have other agreements that they need to do, but I really want to mention Jan Roberts. Jan Roberts spoke to us about intentional leadership here on the YTP platform. Leaders are servers. He is a wonderful person, living proof of that. And hopefully, you're going to see him in one of our sessions pretty soon. Another person is Arthi Moore, great friend from South Africa, dynamic lady, 20 plus years of experience as successful entrepreneurs, two international companies. She specializes in exclusive values with them. She was awarded as a nation builder. Another great friend, Ron Cooper, retired US Air Force, 52 years of marriage with Marty, and relationship coaches. Ron helps organizations develop high performing teams through human behavior insights, personal coaching, and leadership training. Both Ron and Marty serve through their Cooper Culture organization. We also have our great friend Kamrul, who is in Bangladesh, and he is our IT guy. And he again couldn't be here with us, but he has been a great help. And then Dr. Halida. Dr. Halida has been a mentor to us. She is on the faculty of International Health Department at John Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. Well, her achievements and rewards will be really very long, so uh, we can talk about them a little bit later. But she has been a great. Now, let me introduce you to today's panelists. And these are the people who are going to bring you value to the level that you have never seen before. First is Dr. Azam Hussain. So let's bring Dr. Azam here. There you are. Welcome, Azam. How are you
Hello.
doing?
Good, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me today, Raj.
Absolutely. Let me give a little introduction about Dr. Hossain Azam. Uh, he is a PhD. He is currently working as an assistant professor of environmental engineering at Civil Engineering Department of the University of the District of Columbia. He worked previously at Manhattan College and George Washington University. He is mainly working in the areas of innovative clean water and wastewater treatment technologies for the 21st century under the broad theme of water, energy, food, climate nexus, with very strong expertise in environmental chemistry and microbiology. He's a giver for the community, wants to be involved in spreading his knowledge, setbacks, how he overcame, and mentoring. Him and his wife both are engineers by background. He lives in the city of Baltimore, Maryland. And I welcome you, Dr. Hossain Azam.
Thank you. Thank you, Raj. I appreciate it. Thanks, Raj, for coordinating this today and for the nice introduction. This is, good to hear from someone else about myself. And thanks, Sheikh Rahman and Young Titans platform, YTP, for giving me the opportunity to talk about my favorite topic is setbacks. The
Absolutely.
reason is my favorite topic. I went through a lot of setback in my life, and I want to share some thoughts about my setbacks. And I how I overcame them over the years. But before I give you those setbacks, and I just want you to orient yourself about myself. So I started my journey in Bangladesh, where I did
Dr.
my
Azam, let's do one thing. Let's get all the panelists in first,
sure. Okay.
and then we start with you.
Okay.
Because
Thank you.
they can then be a part of it and they know what's going on. So
Sure.
let's do it all together as a
Sure.
part of panel. So let me introduce all of them, and
Okay.
then we are going to start with you.
Sure. Great. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect.
Yeah.
So let's introduce our great friend Kevin Johnson. There he is,
Hello.
Kevin Johnson, my great friend. And how are you doing?
I am doing well today. So good to see everyone. And I'm so excited to be a part of this platform. I really wanted to just say publicly that you all are doing a phenomenal job. It's just a joy to be connected with you and the great work that you're doing. And I'm really hoping that I can add some value to the platform today.
Wonderful, Kevin. We are more than glad that you were able to make time. Let me introduce Kevin and just let me tell a little bit about Kevin. Kevin has been a wonderful friend, a mentor who has helped me personally in so many junctures, so many places. And I value his friendship, I value his leadership and mentorship. Kevin Wayne Johnson has taken up the task of developing individual and organizational operational excellence in his life's mission. Kevin enjoyed a 34-year career, now retired, in the federal government and private industry as a middle to senior level leader. He led workforce development, training, organizational change, acquisition, procurement, customer service, client relationship, security, budget finance, records management, property administration, facilities, IT, HR. I mean, I can keep on going, okay? He was a key leader on the National Performance Review for Procurement and Customer Service Reform under the first Clinton administration. He testified before the US House of Representatives small business community on procurement reform and wrote testimony that was presented before District of Columbia Committee on Government Operations. He's a certified coach trained by the Institute John Maxwell team. He is an author, and if you haven't, I would love for you to read his book. I have it right there, and that is an amazing book which I have not only loved but I would recommend everyone. And Kevin can just give a little bit of brief after I'm done about his book, because I definitely believe people need to know what you have written. Kevin has lives in Clarksville, Maryland, with his wife of 27 years, Gail, and together raised three sons: Kevin, Christopher, and Cameron. So, just a little bit of brief about your book, Kevin, and then we will go and introduce Chetna here.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Raj. The latest book is entitled Leadership with a Servant's Heart, and the subtitle is Leading Through Personal Relationships. And what I've done is I've compiled a lot of different information for frontline leaders, mid-level leaders, and senior level leaders in terms of strategies and principles that could be used to keep us sharp, but also to give us additional tools that can go in our toolbox. I'm a firm believer, Raj and Sheikh, that good leaders, servant leaders, take the positive step forward to make the world a much better place. So we're working with individuals, but the goal is to make the world a much better place. And I'm as I talk here in the month of October, and like you said, the year is almost over. It's resonating very well with our global readers. It's resonating well throughout the publishing industry and throughout all the book lovers in terms of the not just the purchases, but the engagement. I'm leading a lot of engagement on the topic because it's important to raise the level of awareness and also to educate on why it's important to be a good leader. So, at the essence, at the core, that's really what the book is all about. So, thank you.
My pleasure. Absolutely. I love the book, as I told you. So, no question. So, let's introduce our third panelist for today, Chetana Bhat.
I'm sorry, Raj. I got disconnected a little bit.
I said, let's introduce Chetana now. Yes.
Yes,
Thank you, Raj.
Chetna.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Sheikh. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet
Hello,
you.
hello, Chetna. Welcome to the platform, and you are our third panelist here. And let me give a little bit of introduction about Chetna. Chetna, wonderful friend. I have known her for some time. A great leader, a wonderful human being. And a little bit about her. She's the founder and CEO of Personal Professional Relationship Development, PPRD. As an executive coach, she has been working with entrepreneurs, executives, and business managers for many years. After COVID 19 struck the world, Chetna decided to expand her work to life coaching. She is also a non-violent crisis intervention trainer and provides training for the staff of an organization. As a licensed professional, Chetna can administer or interpret various assessments that are instrumental in running businesses strategically. Chetna has a BS in Business Administration from the University of Maryland and MS in Clinical Counseling from Johns Hopkins University. She is a licensed clinical professional counselor and is trained in executive coaching, well being coaching, Gottman's couple therapy, and seven principles program. Imaginary relationship therapy, parent child interaction therapy, meditation, collaborative law practice. You see how much information we are bringing to you with the people who are coming on the panel. And Chetna is an avid nature walker, enjoys writing and painting. At present, she lives in Maryland. She's the mother of two sons and has two grandchildren. Welcome, Chetna.
Thank you, Raj. Hi.
Now, what we are going to do with the panelists is that we are going to start with Dr. Azam, who will introduce himself, and then he's going to talk a little bit on today's topic, which is setbacks and how to come back from setbacks. After that, we will go with Kevin and then with Chetna, and then we will open it up to the discussion where you can send the questions in and we can talk to our panelists with anything that you want to know more about setbacks. So, Dr. Azam, please. You're on the mute.
Thank you, Raj. As I was telling during the introduction, this is my favorite topic. So I want to talk about it. But before I talk about it, I want to give all of you some orientation about myself so that you can see why and how we overcome this type of problems and setbacks in my life. So I did my undergrad in Bangladesh and in engineering, and then I actually taught in Bangladesh in two institutions. And then I came to NC State for my master's, NC State University in North Carolina. And then I did my PhD in University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. If you know about University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, that's the place where the tallest building in Chicago was designed by one of our member from Bangladesh, Dr. Fazlur Rahman, and so F.R. Khan. So I went there because he studied there. And then I was teaching in different places, as Raj mentioned. So I just wanted to give you this because I will going to share 4 story of my life and different level of my life that might help you to understand how you should overcome this. But before I go and talk about it, one thing I like to say that setbacks is part of life, and please remember your professional and personal setbacks are correlated. So if you can manage yourself well personally, you might be able to overcome your professional setback. And the same way around, that if you can manage your professional setback well, then you probably can be successful personally also. So one thing I really learned when I overcome most of my setbacks, that I had to be honest with myself, okay? And I have to try honestly. That's the biggest thing. And I don't want you to be honest with other people. I want you to be honest with yourself. As President Obama told, every crisis is an opportunity. So every setback is an opportunity. And what I saw in my life, every setback brought bigger opportunity for me and bigger reward for an award for me in my life. Okay. So one thing I didn't do in my life, I never blamed others for a setback when it happens. I always wanted to reflect and then learn and then apply. Okay. So one thing I really learned throughout my life is that starting paying attention to small things can make a big investment for your life. Okay, so everything you do, even like today what I'm doing, is an investment for future. Even when you go to your shop, when you are talking to people outside, I got help from people I met nowhere, and they helped me to succeed in my career. So because I handed over a small favor, maybe I smiled, okay, maybe I just lend my pen to write them, and then they help me significantly other way, and I never thought they will help, but they came and helped me. Okay, so another thing I would like to share is that you need to keep trying. So if you remember, you can fail 99 times, but in your life to be successful, you have to be successful once, right? So then it will take you to the next step. Okay, and but one thing, everybody say that learn from your mistakes. Okay, what I realized, learning from mistakes is not easy. So you have to find people around you whom you can trust, who can help you to point to your mistakes and how to overcome it. Because I kept doing my same mistakes many times when I was trying to evaluate myself. Okay, and please associate yourself with people, okay, who can complement your weakness. Okay, so for example, I'll share more thoughts about it, but you will be working in a team. Make sure your team has people who can complement some of the weaknesses you have. Okay, one of the vital thing I learned is that always be a team player. Okay, this is like super vital. Okay, when your setback happens, your past team member or present team member can come and rescue you. Okay, probably it's harder for yourself to overcome this. Okay, and to become successful in a team, you don't have to do the things always right, but always you have to engage actively. In many team member don't engage actively. They passively. They act passively and they participate passively. Don't do that. If you go to a team, make a decision whether you want to be in the team, but if you are engaged, engage actively. Okay, and two other personal things I want to tell you, because I did my PhD before, and one thing I really thought is very helpful is that you have to learn how to manage your emotion wisely. Okay, so having friends and family around you and giving time to them can make a big difference. Okay, and and then I'm going to share some personal story very soon. Learn how to handle frustration. Just write it down in your notebook that there'll be always frustrating moment in your life, and you have to learn your own way to overcome it as you move along. Okay, um, you should also embrace negative people around you early in your career. Because you are young titans, so I recommend that you sometimes go work with negative people. Why is that? When you are in a learning phase, they can be very helpful. You don't need a yes man around you who always praise you all the time, and then when the time comes, it comes out that you are following a wrong path. Okay, and also last thing before I share my personal story is that learn how you can differentiate yourself from others. Like, say for example, we have 5 people here. I will find a way to differentiate myself in a way so that you can see how I'm different than these 4 people in a positive way, right? Not to undermine them, because they are very big leaders and big thoughtful people, but you can see that, okay, Azam is someone different and he can bring some different thoughts. Let me share you 4 story, because thinking of you, your young titans all over the world. So in BUET, Bangladesh University of Engineering Technology, where I was doing my undergrad, I was doing too many things. Okay, so my GPA used to fluctuate a lot. Okay, and people used to call me like a they used to clever, not clever in a positive way. Okay, because I was trying to do too many things, but my results was bad. Right, my GPA was bad. But when I started doing well in my GPA, right, then the whole thing got changed. But what happened at the end, think about it, when I'm in my final year, my GPA is low enough that I can become a professor or something in Bangladesh, right? But I did not took it as a negative thing because that was my dream. But I did very, very well in my last semester. Just keep that in my mind that you should not stop trying, because when I did in very, very well in my last semester, it helped me in many ways. What are the ways? I was all the interview I did was super well because I was super confident doing very good result in my last semester. That's why when I went to interview to two in the universities in Bangladesh, there were like 10 people who were interviewed. I think 9 of them was ahead of me in GPA. But the things I did over the years in my undergraduate life, like my extracurricular activities, my teamwork environments, I used to play in my cricket team, I was the captain, and all of this really, really helped to get hired. So the GPA did not matter. So always remember, your GPA might not be always the big indicator of it. And always remember that you should take opinion from different people around you, because sometimes some of the taken belief, like or wildly long-term belief, might not be true for you. And you will see that in my next step. So when I was doing my job as a faculty member in Bangladesh, I was trying to come in US and Canada for my higher studies. And I hope most of you are familiar with the ranking system of universities. So I did not I appeared in my GRE exam for USA. It was very poorly done, to be honest with you. And then I was many people told me don't apply in USA. Okay, so I applied in Canada, and then I was rejected by even University of Windsor. And I'm not sure you are familiar with those universities. They are very low ranked university. Okay, so but then I realized that what went wrong. So there was no experience behind me. So I did not highlight my experience. My write up was not right, but I was not at that moment capable of writing better. So I went to the senior professor in the department and get his feedback on the documents. The next year, I got admitted in University of Waterloo, University of Calgary, University of Calgary, University of Alberta, all the big school in Canada. But hear me out, with very poor GRE score, I got admitted in USA also, in NC State. By how? By reaching out to all the faculty members in through personal emails, and somebody liked me because how I wrote it. And when I got admitted, he wanted to talk to me in Bangladesh. So we talked over the phone, and then I got that admission. Then I never went to Canada, though some all the people told me, don't go to USA. Your GRE score is so poor, you will not get admitted. Above all, you will not get any funding. But I got full funding. Then I went to NC State. Then think about it. I went to University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Is ranked top 5 in civil engineering is top 1 school in the country. And my GRE score is super poor. So how it happened? Because that criteria was no for me. But I worked for the best faculty member in NC State. I did the work well. I wrote the document well. So don't think yourself, if you are failing in one criteria, you are out of the business or out of the dream you have. Okay, so I think I'm going over to too many stories. Maybe I can come back and discuss more of my stories. But I those are the 2 stories I hope will be good for to get started, and then we can come back to my stories later. Raj?
Raj, awesome. Just wanted to give you a feedback and some kind of word from my end. Is that yeah, I definitely liked the stories, and because some of them I could actually relate also. So that was very really awesome. I'm hoping some of the young professionals, whatever career, whatever background they're in, they're listening or they're watching it live or later on listening recording, or whoever some young titans or professionals, they are listening to this kind of stories actually from somebody who has done it, who are in that young category still. And Dr. Azam Hussain, he's a very young person, but within that he achieved a lot, and but he had some setbacks and he had some struggles, and how he went back to achieve his dream, even though he had all those difficulties. Raj, I think I can talk to you forever on some of these topics, but I'm not going to in the interest of time. Raj, back to you. Sorry about that, but I enjoyed it. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Azam.
No, that was great, Sheikh, because nobody succeeds without overcoming obstacles and setbacks. That's a standard given in life. If you have just started and you believe that your life is going to be a perfect straight line with no setbacks, you might be in for a rude awakening. And that is why we have the panel here, people who have made it, who have done it, who have overcome the setbacks. Because many times when a setback comes in, you do not know what to do. And that is where we are bringing you this useful information, which is going to show you that people who have really succeeded have actually overcome the setbacks. It was not a smooth sailing for them. So get this ideas from this panel here and utilize them in your life, because what we are trying to do here is to shorten your curve. Because instead of you trying to find your own way, if you are able to hear from stories, wonderful stories, and Azam, that was really great. People definitely will relate to that, no question, as it comes to in their life. But let's go to our next panelist, and Kevin, uh, please go ahead.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. So far, so good. This information has been very enlightening and very educational. I'm just going to share two specific examples in terms of what happened to Kevin Johnson as a young professional making his way through the federal government as an employee. As you heard in the introduction, 34 years of total service as a frontline leader, a mid-level leader, and a senior level leader in the federal government. During the mid portion of my career, I ran into a very challenging and a very difficult boss. I was working in the New York area at the time, still sort of getting acclimated from having left Washington, D.C., which has a certain environment and a certain culture, to New York City, which has a certain environment and a certain culture, much different than what I was used to. While I'm still getting used to that, I was working at this particular junction in an organization that was going through some rapid change. The boss that hired me, who was very empathetic and very compassionate in his style, got fired. We never found out why. We think we know why, but we don't know why. And then here comes the new boss who lets it be known publicly that he doesn't like Kevin Johnson or any of my colleagues without really explaining why, but we think we knew. Very, very challenging, very different, and very unique situation. The organization as a whole took a setback because the culture immediately changed. The gentleman that was in charge, again, was compassionate and empathetic and pretty low key in his style. And it was a very warm and embracing environment to be in. Here comes the new boss, very rough and rigid, divisive, sarcastic in his tone. And it was a real setback, not just for myself, but for all of my colleagues and the organization, because now we're all on the defensive, trying to figure out what's going on and how can we satisfy this new boss. Long story short, after I left that particular organization and moved on to another organization while watching some of my other colleagues get fired or get laid off or just booted out of the organization through no fault of their own, it dawned on me that when I get to that level in the organization, when I become a part of the senior leadership team, I will never treat anybody that way. So that setback taught me a very valuable lesson in terms of what not to do when I get to that level, how not to treat people, how not to make people feel, but instead to be that compassionate and empathetic leader that set the tone in his environment and in the atmosphere so that the workplace would be very, very conducive for people to perform well and to produce at a very high level. So the setback put me on the trajectory of doing better and being able to make the shift. So that's one example, because that's a real life example that many of us have to deal with in our day-to-day interactions, whether you work in a corporation or whether you work in academia or for a nonprofit, in the federal government, or if you work in a church. Those are the 5 main areas of employment. The second example that I wanted to share with you is what we're all living through right now across the entire globe. Every one of us have had to make some type of a shift. We've had to be flexible and adaptable as it relates to the pandemic. This virus that came from out of nowhere, that is still a mystery, impacts 7+ billion people across the planet. When I talk to my colleagues in England and in Costa Rica and in parts of Africa and the Turks and Caicos in the Caribbean, and even here in the United States, from East Coast to West Coast, there's a 3-hour time difference from California to Washington, D.C. And then other people across the planet, we're all dealing with the exact same issue as it relates to this pandemic. How can we keep ourselves safe? And how can we keep others safe and healthy as we try to get on the other side of this? And so as a leadership trainer and as an executive coach for, again, the frontline, mid-level, and senior level portions of the workforce, I was very much accustomed to the face-to-face and group settings that we found ourselves in, because that's how I was able to be at my best. In a classroom setting, an auditorium setting, or on the stage, teaching strategies and principles so that we could all be better leaders. When the pandemic happened, travel for me ended after the first week in March. There would be no more travel. So now what do we do? And there was a vacuum for about a month to 6 weeks. There was a vacuum of opportunities to provide training and to do coaching. And so the setback actually propelled me forward in terms of doing better and being able to make the shift. And the shift that I was able to make is in an area where inherently I'm pretty weak, and that is with technology. I'm not really good with technology. I don't understand how it works. I always need help. I know how to turn the computer on and off, but that's about it. I really need a lot of help in that area. But because of the pandemic and because of the setback, I had to figure out a way to continue to provide great services to all of my clients, not just here in the United States, but around the entire globe, because that's who I work with. And so Kevin Johnson had to get busy and learn these different technology platforms so that I can be effective and I can be efficient and I can reach out to people. And I'm also an author. And I was in the midst of a national book tour. How can I continue to have my book tour in the midst of a pandemic? Everything has to be done virtually. So I had to learn how to maintain that momentum. So I've learned different technology platforms depending on the needs of my client. And I've actually learned up to 5 different technology platforms so I can stay relevant, so I can continue to work with people, embrace people, and share good information with people, and them likewise. So whether it's Adobe Connect or Cisco WebEx or Zoom or Hopin or Canvas, or there's a couple of others as well that I just don't remember. Oh, Microsoft Teams. I've had to learn them all in terms of how to navigate, how to be effective, how to communicate, how to engage. Why? Because we had a setback as a result of the pandemic. So in both of these examples, the pandemic as well as the bad boss put me on a motion to go forward, to figure out a way to do better and to make the necessary shift. So keep in mind that as a young professional who are on their way to achieving great things, as you continue to live out your dreams, goals, and aspirations, don't let the setback set you back. Let the setback propel you forward, because people need you. People need to hear what you have to say, and people need you to pour into their lives based on the intel that you have to share. So that's what I wanted to share. Look forward to answering your questions a little bit later. And I'm really, really grateful to be a part of this dynamic platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin. That was just amazing and wonderful the way you shared your story and the way you have had a distinguished career. And now, as a coach, what you are doing is just commendable. There is one question actually that came in from Facebook, so maybe we can address that now. That is towards you, because you have had such a solid career and then coaching business. The question is, how did you deal with recurring frustration in the course of events?
Well, the way that I dealt with it was, in essence, part of what I was explaining is when these things happen, I equate it to you and I driving. Imagine you driving your automobile down any given road. It could be a side road or it could be on the highway. It's not unusual that we have to slow down to go over a speed bump. It's not unusual that we have to slow down and go around the pothole. It's not unusual that we have to sometimes decelerate our speed so we can navigate the curve in the road. And then once you get beyond the speed bump and the pothole and the curve, then you can continue to maintain your speed that you had prior to that. And so dealing with frustration is synonymous with navigating the roads of life, if you would. I recognize and acknowledge that they will happen. And when they do happen, figure out a way to do better and to make the shift. And that's the example that I always give, because depending on where you are when you're driving, different roads require us to drive different ways. If it's a dirt road, or if it's well paved, or if it's gravel, or if it's brick, there's different speed limits in different zones. When you come up on a school zone to slow down to 25 miles an hour. And so I recognize that that's also a part of life. So that's how I deal with the frustration, knowing that it's going to come, making the necessary adjustments to deal with it when it does come. And then on the other side of it, I'm able to continue to maintain my normal speed. So hopefully that analogy helps with your question. But thank you so much.
I would say that was a wonderful example. And just that picture in mind gives you a clear idea that life is not smooth. There will be bumps where you will need to slow down. There will be times when you will need to accelerate, but you will need to know how to deal with this as you go through life. But be ready for it, because this is going to come sooner or later. That was a beautiful example, Kevin. Loved it. Thank you. Thank you for answering. So let's go to Chetana now. Chetana, give a little bit of introduction about yourself, and then let's talk about setbacks and how you overcame them.
All right. Thank you, Raj. I have a little cough, so I had the cough drops. I'm getting better from my cold. Just wanted to make sure. Outright, if I have a little cough, I'll put that cough drop in my mouth. That's all. Thank you. Setbacks. When I think about setback stories, I think about change management stories. Actually, change is happening to us all the time. Everything Azam and Kevin just mentioned, it totally resonates with me. If you look at your own life, think about it. As a baby, when we are born, from a beautiful mother's warm womb to coming into this world, and with all that cold or whatever we felt and crying, right? So that's a setback or change management. The way you think about it is a sudden change. So I'll tell you a story of a little girl who was born in India thousands of years ago. No, not really. A few years ago. That's my story. And this little girl wanted to learn. That was her goal. Ever since I was a little child, all I could remember is I wanted to learn. I wanted to be a medical doctor. A 4-year-old, as a 4-year-old, I was wanted to go to school because I had the experience of a nursery school, and then I tried to get to first grade, even though I was young with my, being a 4-year-old. Anyway, to make everything short, somewhere along the way, at a very young age, all I wanted to be as a doctor. Then at 12, my grandfather died. So now, along with being a doctor, I wanted to find cures for diseases. I wanted to do research. That's it. That was my whole life purpose as a 12-year-old. And it continued. But life has it. Wanted me to take a different path. Guess what happened? In India, back then, so many years ago, I was like 14 or 15 at the time, very immature, right? When you think about other students in the class. So we had to take one exam, this application to medical school, everything is dependent on one exam and how you do it. I was so anxious because this was it for me, right? There was nothing else I wanted to do in my life. So I was so anxious, didn't do well actually it was English exam. And I did well in all the other exams, but still, as an immature young person I was, did not even apply. Thought I was not going to get it and did not even apply. When I look back, the grades or whatever I had would be like 4.0 today in science subjects. Anyway, to make everything short, I grieved it. I cried. I didn't think I was going to get it. So I did not even apply. I just gave up. And then what happened? Got into my bachelor's, chemistry, physics, math, and chemistry was my major. But no interest, no purpose. I think one thing I would say to people, even when you have challenges, you can rethink your life and there could be a different purpose that can come up. When we leave our purpose, there's no interest in it, and then there is burnout. And that's what happened. So next thing you know, you're talking about like 40 years ago or more, and there was a young boy, young man, family friend. I met him, just fell in love right away, got married, came here. Okay, I'm going to say this story has highlights of positives. How do we tell our story is also very important. Because if I look at only the negatives, I'm not giving a chance to come up. If I look at the highlights, if I look at the diamonds in the rough, then the story looks very different. It's all in our perception sometimes too. So when that happened, I came here with my husband, a wonderful young man. I couldn't change it for anything, even for the medical school I was stuck on. So I'm so glad I had a chance to meet him. I had a chance to be with him. He showed me what being a human is, what life is, what kindness is. I couldn't change a thing with that. So that story became a better story in some ways. I worked with him. He was a doctor. We started his practice. I managed his office. Remember, I didn't have a medical, even a bachelor's degree at the time. So I managed the office. I did all of that, then had 2 kids. So I took a step back, and to raise the kids, I didn't want to give them to babysitters. And guess what? I wanted to go back to school when my younger one went to first grade, because giving them to babysitters was not my thing. My husband died 3 months earlier, 3 or 4 months earlier, end of May. September, I was starting my school. My foundation was pulled under us, right? So guess what? Single mom, no family here. My parents, brothers, sisters, everybody was in India, and 2 little children. So now, okay, life brought something else to deal with. And no education, no degree yet, right? So from there, now we didn't have online classes. So I didn't know how to take my classes anymore. And some other stuff happened. I did start the class in September of that year, but something else happened. Before you know it, I had to pull back from education every time something happened. So what I'm going to say is life gives us challenges to deal with, But then I started to look at, okay, what am I supposed to do now? Every time that happened, I had to regroup and see what can I do now. So fortunately, again, when we think about positives, right? When I didn't go to medical school, what happened? A wonderful young man, I wouldn't trade anything for those 15 years I had with him, right? I wouldn't change it at all. Kids. And then guess what? Things kept happening. So ended up life gave me online classes at the time. This was end of 99 and beginning of 2000. I think I started in 2001 because I had some credits from India. I had some work experience credits that I took. University of Maryland University College, which is now Global College, had online classes, which I took online courses at the time. So I could be with my kids, I could do some part-time work, and I could take my classes or do at any time I could. In the evenings, I could work on my stuff or late in the evenings or night. So that's what happened. See, somehow, somewhere, something comes through that you can grab onto. So I finished my degree. Now what? What am I supposed to do? I had to change my bachelor's major to business administration because science was out of question anymore. Too much work, too much going in there. Doctorate degree was out of question. Two little kids, their education was more important than my getting a doctorate degree. So what do? I ended up looking at what is it? What is my passion? What skills do I have? What do I know? Who am I? How do I bring? What got me to wanting to do medical school? So what stood up? My passion is to serving people, helping people, finding cures, all of that, right? Now, where do I go from here? Ended up going into clinical counseling. Guess what? In healthcare, doing what I want to do, passionate thing that I want to do, right? So I had to regroup, still look at what is it? What got me, even though medical degree looked like medical degree, but what was behind it? So I ended up doing master's. Now my kids are older, I could go to school. Before that, even though I got into every college I had applied, I couldn't go there because kids were younger. But now they are older. I was able to go to Hopkins. I went to the nearest campus I could get into. So I was able to finish my master's within 2 years or 2 years. And then I started to do clinical counseling. Along with, all those years, even when I was having such difficulty, there was always someone. It could be a stranger at a college campus when I was getting some snack or food or something because I was in the class. I had classes, looking at my face and just saying, this too shall pass. Probably saw some pain on my face. I held on to that. Or it could be a wonderful lady who somehow saw myself as her own daughter when we didn't have any connection. Somebody had introduced us and she just treated me like that. She had her own issues, her own health issues, but if nothing else, she could talk with me. So there was always, if we open our eyes, there's always something or someone that reaches out to us. When I'm in pain and going through something, maybe someone would call. So one thing is, I had friends here. I still have a lot of friends here. Someone would call, even though I didn't reach out to them. How do they know? I have no clue. So there's always something you can hold on to, your support system, someone, a stranger, anything. So pull yourself up and holding on to something like that if you have to. So that's the story in a nutshell. And then what happened, I did counseling for many years. And then I started to do executive coaching only because I have a business background. I managed another business that's in real estate for years too. And now it's almost not there. And I have given to managing, someone else to manage. So I have done different things. And so what's the next step? I ended up getting into coaching, got the training and started that. Well, I was working with some small businesses and people, executives and all that, and then COVID-19 hit. I used to do a lot of presentations in person, used to go to organization. Everything stopped in 1 week, 2 weeks, or whatever in March, right? So now I had to regroup. But guess what? I have a lot more time on my hands because I'm not traveling as much. So I did start to do some pro bono work because there were so many people or people who were in some organizations I was working with, small businesses who were suffering so much. So I just said, no, don't worry about it. We'll work through this. And I opened up for life coaching. So I had to change, but the other part is, good part is, I love working online. I love presenting. Now I don't have to travel as much. I was so tired of traveling anyway. So that's worked out well for me if I look at it from that angle. I think that's the key part. If I look at something, for example, I'm going to use my cell phone. You can see only this part, right? If you don't know what's a cell phone, all you can see is this, a flat rectangle. Maybe see a earth here, right? So how do I look at it? Will give me strength or will take my strength away? If I look at the same story from a different angle, I can find something to pick myself up. So I would say, look at your story from different angles. Look at your setback from different angles, see what can be done now. So that's my story in a nutshell, but I want to say something. Along with that, something you want to keep in mind. Every time there is a setback, disappointment, or a loss of a dream, you are grieving. It may not be huge, it may be small, it could be there's an ending of something, losing a job, or did not get that bonus, or in personal life, something major happened, you're not getting to something. There's always, when that happens, there's an ending. We're losing something, we'll have to let go of something. There is grief associated with that. That could bring you sadness, depression, anxiety, or if you look at Kubler-Ross's, stages of grief, all of that, stages of loss, all of that could be there, right? But how long do you stick there and not pull yourself up? And that's the part we have to be mindful about and work with it. Get to your support system or get a counselor or a coach or someone you can work with. So whatever it is, you have to process it and work through it quickly, right? There is a neutral zone where we are going through a transition. Now I lost this job, I lost this bonus. Now what do I do? How do I manage it? Where do I get there? That is very anxiety causing and scary. How do I figure out where am I going to next? And then you might figure out what you want to do next. You might have a roadmap and you stick to it. And then suddenly you are in a different place. A couple of things I do want to mention along with that. When there is a setback, when, let's say, I didn't get that job I wanted, or I didn't get a bonus I wanted, if you're a high achiever, something that's known, or I think research or some studies say that, is some people never get to that acceptance and making peace with it because they could be very high achievers. They could be putting the blame on other people. I had a tendency to blame everything on me, and that's not good either. But if I do either way, I'm not looking at things realistically. What's important is what really happened here. Can I look at it realistically? Is there something I can learn from here? Is there something I can take from here? I think Kevin mentioned about how to take something positive and apply it to your new job and next steps. So what is it I can learn from here? So be very mindful. Even in your support system, your friends might be just trying to make you feel better. You might not get the proper understanding of what has happened. So go to your peers, go to your supervisors, go to the person even who said didn't give the bonus or whatever. Find out what went wrong, what really happened here. So how can I make it better going forward? Sheikh or Raj, please tell me if I'm going longer. I would, please tell me if I'm going over my time or anything like that. Okay. So the other thing I want to say is look and identify the path you want to take. There's a lot you already know. You know about you, just like how I looked at my passion and what it led me to. So you already know a lot about you, even though we don't see it sometimes. You already have certain knowledge. You already have certain skills. You already have your abilities. What are you strong about? What is it you want to do? So this setback you look at, could be the greatest thing that happened to you in the long run. So if you start looking at it from there, after figuring out what happened, why you lost or why this happened, and then look and identify the path you want to take. You are in a transition, the neutral zone. What is it? What is it you want to do? Work on what is, and in this situation, there is a lot that's not under our control. Work on what is under your control. That helps a lot. How are we with time?
Yeah, Chetana, I think we're good. I mean, it's not bad because we are learning and we're going through stories. It's good. And, I
Yeah,
mean, I
that's
can
why I just
relate
wanted to
some
make
of the
sure.
things that you said. It's awesome. It's intriguing. One thing that yeah, no problem. One thing, a question kind of that I had from somebody, but it's not towards you only, but for everybody. That's saying that when you are at a setback, when you are at a stale, when you're at your moral is down, at that time, did you have a mentor all the time who would carry you, help you, and grow up, or was it only by yourself? And do you think a mentor is help time or necessary?
Okay. Would you like me to answer that? Okay, I'll take that. So yes, a mentor would be very helpful. For me, it was all new. I had very protective, typical life, and suddenly I was just thrown into this to take care of, deal with it. A lot of crying went into it. If I knew any better, I would find a mentor or even career counseling if I needed, right? So you can go to, even colleges sometimes offer free career counseling. So you can find career counseling somehow. I was a career counselor as well. So I know counselors can help. Or you can go to a coach or even a mental, if you don't want to spend money, you have insurance, you can go to a mental health counselor. They can also help you to have that support also to see things clearer, and that would help. So there are a few things happening. One is our emotion management, right? Along with seeing things clearer so we can take the next step. Yeah, it would help to have a mentor or somebody. I looked at my mentors, I my friends or the lady I mentioned, she was like a mother away from India, like a mother here for me. In some way, she became that symbol or someone like that. She prayed for me all the time. Her prayers calmed me down every time she did that. And that's what I held on to. And I didn't have a choice. I did not give myself a choice except to see that I had to do this for my kids. That was my main thing. Do anything and everything for my kids. I learned to reach out to people. If my kids need something, I did not think twice about calling somebody, reaching out, which is so much easier now than 30. My older son is 37 now. So it's so much easier today than back then, right? So I did not hesitate to reach out. There is always somebody who can, who is able to talk with you, who is give you their thoughts or help you through it. But I did not hesitate to reach out to people. I think that's what helped me a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, that was awesome. Anybody who wants to discuss that, or Raj, you have anything?
No, I think we should open this up to both Kevin and Azam because this is a
Kevin,
very
you want to
great
go
question,
first, or
actually.
you want me to go? Kevin, do you want me
Please
to go
do. Please
first,
do.
or you want to go? Okay.
Yes,
Actually,
please. Yes, you go first.
okay, and I actually was wrote it down at the beginning that I kept it for the last statement I want to make. Um, Build and respect relationship throughout your life, uh, and spend time with people, because you cannot ask for a favor from a people without paying money. And I like to tell you that I was greatly benefited by counselor, and mental health person in my life at some point when I was very frustrated with my PhD work and I could not handle the workload and my personal life at the same time. So counselor and everything helped. But one thing really helped, apart from counselor, is my relationship. And having a mentor is the biggest thing you can have in your life. And one thing about that, I don't want to make it too long. Mentor, finding a mentor is something you should invest on, and sometimes it should be a natural process. Means, a person could be a very high achiever, like some of the folks here, but might not be a good mentor for you because they don't understand you. So please make sure you find someone, pick someone, and then test it along your life, and that will be most helpful thing you can have in your life. Thank you.
Yeah, totally agree. Those were words of wisdom that we've heard from our other panelists, both spot on. Life is relational, and it really is all about maintaining and sustaining relationships as you go through life, because that's really what it's all about. And we're created to be connected with each other. And so when you develop these relationships, when you run into the setback, because it will happen, it's just a part of life, because of the relationships that you have, you'll have one, two, three, four, five, or more people that you can confide in and have a conversation about to, number one, help ease the pain, but equally important, come up with strategies and ways to deal with it and to make the pivot and to make the shift. So having mentors is great, but first you establish the relationship so the mentor knows you and you know the mentor, so that when you have your conversations, it will be mutually beneficial. So yeah, I really can't overemphasize that enough, because the setback will come. Doesn't have to be negative, and it doesn't mean it has to set you back. But in order to propel forward, because life is relational and you've developed those relationships, then you'll have someone else that you can talk to and get some ideas and perspectives and views from as you make your next move.
That was wonderful, wonderful, Kevin. Yes, I agree. Raj, you want to add anything from your point of view? Because I know you're big into mentorship and the things that I get. Actually, I do get uh, mentorship and help and guide from each one of you, I should say, and many things. And of course, Raj and Kevin and Chetna, you've been instrumental for many things that I do and help me guide me in anything. So I'm thankful for that.
Well, I would definitely share that we are talking about mentorship and we are talking about setbacks. Yeah, I have had major setbacks in my life and I have overcome all of them. Has it been easy? No. But has it been rewarding? Yes. Because if many of the people who are not able to take the setbacks, they go into a different sort of a reality, and you don't want that. That is the reason we are bringing you this, because you need to overcome. That's the main thing. Mentorship, how does that help? Kevin brought in a beautiful point. The mentor needs to know who you are. You have to have a very wonderful relationship with your mentor. I, for a long time in my life, always wanted to find everything by myself, that I would discover it. And that took me a very long time to come to the point where I wanted to be in my life. Then, when the purpose, like Chetna talked about the purpose, are you passionate about what you're doing? Or you're just going and doing a job just for the sake of doing it? So, very different things. You need a job, yes, you need the money, but is it your passion? Or is it somebody else's passion? Are you running passion of your parents, your peers? Who is it? All those things come in play. That's when you start getting a mentor, a person who might have already gone through these things, and they can shorten your curve. I took mentorship with some of the top notch people because I believed at that level that these people would really, really help me. And what I will tell you is, I took a 6 month mentorship. And within that 6 month mentorship, I was able to shorten my curve by almost 3 years, if nothing less. It would have taken me at least 3 years to get to the level where I was at. But because of that mentorship, I was able to shorten that curve because there is somebody else. See, what happens is when you are in the picture frame, you do not see the whole picture. What I mean by that is when you're in the frame, you cannot see what is outside. And once a person can take a look from outside, now I'm a coach myself. All of us are coaches here. And we teach people, we mentor people. That's when we know that we do it from our experiences. What are we bringing to you? This is exactly what we are bringing to you. We are bringing to you all the things that we have gone through in our life. So you do not have to go through it again. That is the essence of life. And that is how you work through it. That is how you come overcome the setbacks. You take help of mentors wherever you can. Mentors can be anyone. It has doesn't have to be a specific some great coach who will come and mentor you. It could be your parents, it could be your teachers, it could be your peers, it could be your friends. The main thing is that there has to be that relationship where that person has that vested interest in you, where they are not just giving you, oh, you are great, you are great, you are great, but they are able to guide you through all your aspects of life. That's what I would say.
Raj, I have a question for you also. I think that's profound what you said, and I cannot, and I know you, as I said already, that you're big into mentorship and you invested, and some monetary, or also you invested a lot of money on that, and I know the you cherish, or you talk about that return and how important it is on all those. So with that, it's a very relative question. The question is, how important is the role of self-reflection at phases like this, along with having a mentor?
Ah, beautiful question. I believe self reflection is of utmost importance. A mentor can guide you, a mentor can give you the path, they can guide you through that. But self reflection, until that is there, you do not know if you are progressing or not. The best thing to do with self reflection is I actually do self reflection every single day. Every single day, at the end of the day, I take a few minutes to reflect on what has happened. Every single week, I go back and take a shorter look, not spending too much time, but enough. But every quarter, I definitely make sure that I spend enough time to take a look what has happened in the whole quarter and have I progressed. Now I have a notebook right here. I was working on it with my journal, and I put in here everything that I'm grateful for. And at the end of the day, I have my notes here. In the notes, I put in my reflection for the day. What did I learn? What were the things that I achieved? Good. What are the things that I can improve upon? At the end of the year, I take one full week to reflect on the full year. I go back into my diary, I go back into my goals. What did I achieve? And that has made a huge difference because before this, and many of my friends will vouch for this, is that you put on your goals as to what you want to achieve. And many times after 10 years, you still have the same goals every single year because life catches up. So self reflection, utmost important. And I believe all our panelists would agree with me on that. If there's anything any of you would like to share, that would be great.
If I may add something, you're totally right, Raj. Self awareness, self reflection leads to self awareness, right? So that's extremely important. The other part I would say is that think about your coping skills. This is the time, like when you are not even having a setback, self awareness helps it huge because you are ready for something. My coping skill, if I have a negative something comes in, first thing is my teary eyes, right? I know that's my reaction because that's where the fight or flight response comes in. So I had to take it back and work on it. So instead of saying something in that moment, you want to go back, reflect on it, figure out what you want to. It's, let's say a boss tells you that you didn't get a bonus. You're hearing it, listening to it. You think it's something different. It shouldn't be like that. But for me, it would be my tear, right? So be mindful of your coping skills. How do you react to something and work on it? Because that may not be the right time to tell that boss, this is the reason I should get this. Because if I start to talk about it in that moment, it's not going to come out right because in my fight or flight reaction. So figure out your coping skill, work through some scenarios, and how, if the situation presents, how are you going to manage going forward? I think that it is a key for a lot of us, because, or most of us, because if we improve that, then we can work with it. So we don't want to react in the moment, but we want to take a step back, breathe through it. Even if you want to sit like this, kind of way, that gives you a few seconds to get yourself back and not say the first word that comes to your mind. So focus on a couple of things I did write down is like focus on succeeding, not just surviving. Because if we're in just surviving, we keep doing that. Think about what brings you, helps you to succeed. Focus on things that you can control. And if you have fear, see whether you can transcend from your fear and hopeless feelings and go into what motivates you. So self-awareness or self-reflection would bring you self-awareness, which would help you to work on these things.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else would like to take on that?
Yes.
I'm going to say a small different thing. I think I'm not sure how long time we'll have, but I really thought it should be important for all the
We're
audience to
short in
know.
time, but it's okay. I think we should take a couple of things, from you and Kevin, or at least
Okay.
Raj. I'll leave it up to you, and I think we
Yeah,
can.
we are already over the time. So anything that you want to share,
Very
it would be
short.
great.
I will do very short. But one thing we talked about personal relationship, but I think one thing, I'm an engineer, so everybody in the audience, you must know this. You also should have a professional network where you have a different type of relationship. And if you are targeting any particular profession, please find one or two professional network where you can become a member and get engaged in that professional network. Because most of my jobs came in my life because I was involved in a professional network. So it's not about only personal relationship, but also your professional network where you are engaged is very, very important. Because we don't have a lot of time, I don't want to say more things, but please become a member of some one or two network that you are involved with and get engaged. That will help you in your life. Thank you.
True.
Yeah, very well said. And I'll just close out by saying this. As a young professional who are well on your way to doing great things as you achieve your dreams, goals, and aspirations, as you develop yourself, also keep in mind all the people that are around you. So take a look in the mirror every day as an opportunity to reflect, to do a self-assessment and a review so that you really get to know yourself before you look through the lens at others. So look at the mirror first, assess yourself, know yourself, be aware of yourself, know your style, and then look through the lens at others. Because when it's all said and done, again, because life is relational, you'll have a lot of great input into the lives of others. But before you can really take a look at them, we need to look at ourselves first. Thank you so much.
That was wonderful. I think that was a wonderful interaction. We are already 5 minutes over, so we are going to close now. But I would like to thank each and every one of you. You have done a wonderful job. Sheikh, closing comments from you, please.
Yeah, no, Raj, I was just gonna say you can close. That definitely, absolutely, it is an honor to have all of you here. So next week we do not have a live session, but the following week we have a speaker, a high achiever again from young generation, just like Dr. Azam. Somebody is coming. That's what we do on the first week of the month, and then the following weeks we have somebody senior like Kevin or Raj or somebody coming in and teaching you from what you need to do. And then at the last week we do the panel like this. So thankful to all these people, and I myself learned a lot, and that's what we're trying to do. Again, this is not going to change your character once a week or anything like that, but at least it will give you some kind of direction. And if you need more help or what you need from us, if you can let us know that, myself, Raj, and the whole board and everybody that we are collaborating with, we can bring it to you, and we can get you to the point where you need to do, or to the source where you need to go. So with that, I am that's all I had for today. Thank you so much again for being with us the whole time, and thank you for watching it later in recording. Have a great weekend and
Thank
have
you.
a great time, everybody. Thanks, Raj. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay. Bye-bye.